Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Defenders League Week 3 matchup between Way and Friends and Ivy Gaming Black. My name is Gordo, and I am joined tonight by Trajan. Trajan, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, Gordo. Here for another really exciting night. We got two teams both kind of sitting at that 1-1 mark. Week three, they're both looking to kind of advance themselves to a 2-1. And it's looking like both these teams are going to be very competitive. They have some really great compositions that they've been able to play. And what we've been kind of able to see from them throughout the split so far, it looks like they've been adapting relatively well.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, going by the community poll here, Ivy Gaming Black coming in fourth place here out of all of our ADL teams. Way and Friends a little bit lower in eighth, but they're a relatively newer team, not as well known yet. Don't quite have the benefit of the doubt that a team like Ivy Gaming Black might have as of yet, but both tied in the standings at 1-1. And I'm really excited to see what these guys can bring out. The Gymster over on Way and Friends is somebody in particular that I'm going to be paying close attention to. This guy's been putting up ridiculous numbers in the top lane over the course of our first 2 weeks, and I'm really excited to see what else he can bring for us today.
Yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of the games he's played have been on these tanks, Ornn, Mundo, and every time. So, hello. It looks like I am back. I apologize. We had some.
All right, you got your audio, Trajan? There we go.
We're back. But no, it's really interesting just because the Gymster being able to be weak sided at this level, and being able to generate these gold leads for himself and significant ones too is that's a clear indicator to me that this is a very strong laner.
Yeah,
And really excited
absolutely.
to see what he can
And
bring out against the Razor.
Yeah, and a stat that I was paying particular attention to when I was checking out Duan's little stats page before this game was getting started was damage per gold, which is how much damage you do for each piece of gold that you do receive. And the Gymster is at number one in the entire league for converting gold into damage out of any player in any position. And also, at number two in that exact same stat, Trajan, is Evan with an eye, who's coming in to represent Ivy Gaming Black tonight. So both of these guys, some really high level solo laners. Evan in the mid lane, Jimster in the top lane, and going to be keeping a close eye on both these guys to see if they can keep up that record of doing ridiculous damage for what they're given, and if so, which one is going to end up coming out on top tonight?
Yeah, I'm really interested. One of the things that I'm more or less really curious about here is going to be our jungle matchups, right? We've seen Kumazu and Sinibu both playing. They've played the Kindred. Kumazu's got some games on the Nocturne as well so far, and there's a single game of the Gragas. But Sinibu's even played something as unique as the Nunu, which we don't generally see a whole lot in fives anymore. So I'm really curious to see what they want to shape their picks around for that, and if they want to go with something safer like that, or if they want to put him back on something like the Olaf.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, something to keep in mind here, as well as that new 2 games for that on Cinebu, is the Ziggs. The Ziggs has really come on up over the last couple of weeks as one of those really premier bot laners, but both of these teams are willing to flex it into the mid lane. So definitely going to be a contested pick here. Curious to see if we do see it in the bot lane for either of these squads. If it were to be anybody, my eyes would be on Dobbs over on the side of Way and Friends, as Dobbs has been busting out all sorts of crazy stuff in the bottom lane. He's got to pick on Karthus already. He's got to pick on Yasuo. These are some interesting choices to say the least, and I'm curious if we see more of them here tonight.
Yeah, Gordo, if you want to talk about snowballing or even just hyper scaling, the Karthus, Yasuo, those are two champions that come to a lot of people's minds when you mention those things. And the fact that these are picks that are able to be flexed into the bot lane, and you have Glaceon here able to play the Seraphine, able to play the Galio. So there's a lot of unique picks that we could come out here. So once we get into draft, it's gonna be a wild ride, I suspect, for us to kind of break down who's going to be doing what and where.
Yeah, definitely something to be keeping our eyes on, as is those support picks. The bot lanes over on the side of Way and Friends have been some crazy duos. Along with that Karthus and that Yasuo came Galio, came Seraphine, some of the not exactly supports that come to everybody's minds these days, where everybody's just playing those engaged tanks day in and day out, or maybe, an enchanter like Karma or Lulu. Some wrenches being thrown into the works for sure for this squad. Also, the Blitzcrank coming through from the side of Ivy Gaming Black. We've seen the Tarek from them as well. These are teams that are willing to play non-conventional picks in the bottom lane. So while I'm looking for the solo laners to have these big carry performances, I'm looking for the bot lanes to give us a little bit of spice.
Yeah, I'm expecting these bot lanes to be very scrappy. Just the way that they've kind of the picks that they pick for themselves and the way that it looks like they're posturing more or less with their lane matchups. They want to be fighting in these 2v2s, bringing the junglers down for 3v3s. So, really expecting to see a lot of action down there this series.
All right, and now looks like we are getting ready here to hop into draft. Way and friends going to be on the blue side for game number one. Ivy Gaming Black on the red, and right away, Drazen, that Nunu is going to hit the ban list.
Yeah, really popular pick for Cinebu. They've put a lot of games on that champion, so no big surprise there. We do see the Syndra hitting the bin here for Way and Friends as well. So they're really respecting what Evan with an Eye has been able to pull off so far this series. But on the other side, Tom Kench Viego, pretty meta picks, both very oppressive and annoying champions to play against for sure.
Yeah, and now I'm looking at Ivy to see if they're going to bust out a Mundo ban. Looks like it's not going to come. That is a blindable top laner. That is one that we have seen the top lane on the side of Way and Friends bust on out. The Jimster had some great performances on it in week number one, was not allowed it in game number or in week number two rather. So want to keep an eye to see if that would be their first pick here. But instead, it is going to be the Nocturne being hovered on here. Kamazu has taken this into the jungle already. Gotta believe that that's where it's going to be now that those lane Nocturne nerfs have already come and gone.
Yeah, really great pickup here, honestly, in my opinion. I think Nocturne's is still very first pickable. His mid lane experience is still not as good, but he's still definitely a flex potential for him. But obviously just being in the jungle, having the paranoia available to yourself means that it's going to be a really great utility tool. And at this level of play, I fully expect these teams to be using paranoia as a more of a zone control tool more than anything. But we do see here that Ivy is going to lock in the Olaf for themselves. Uh, gonna make it a bit more difficult for Wayne friends to kind of draft a composition around it. I would expect to see them to go for a few more bruiser heavy champions then. Just try to mitigate the amount that this Olaf can do and hurt his scaling as they transition into mid to late game.
Yeah, Ivy definitely going to be looking for that favorable jungle matchup, and they're going to take Tristana as well. Going to be a new pick for them this split. Definitely something that we've seen come up in priority a little bit more lately. Has a lot of really favorable lane matchups. Kind of wins the Callista lane by default, which is really what a lot of those bot lanes do be going towards these days. So interested to see how Wayne friends are going to respond here. This is where they might want to take one of those non-conventional bot lanes, knowing that they're pretty much set up for failure up against the Tristana. But instead, they're just going to lock right on in this Kog'Maw. They're going to take the Lulu as well for that powerful duo, and they're going to look to scale on up coming into the later game.
Yeah, I really like this pick out from them. Lulu obviously has just been an absolute menace over the probably past couple of months. Uh, One of the strongest, if not the strongest enchanters aside from Karma, who has received some nerfs here, and Kog'Maw still does an insane amount of damage. And with I'm assuming we go the Immortal Shield Bow route, means that it's gonna be really hard for them to burst down this Kog'Maw if Wayne friends are keeping an eye on their singular carry for right now. But it does look like Ivy is going to lock in the Gwen here as their R3 pick, and this is a champion that we have seen Eraser play quite a bit, and this is a champion that honestly, if she gets off the ground, hits that 2 item spike, it will completely decimate a team fight just by herself.
Yeah, Eraser busted out the little 1v5 pentakill on this pick last week. That was a nutso play if you saw any of those Twitch clips coming on across. So to see Eraser on it once again, certainly going to be feeling pretty good about that. And now they get to ban to defend it as well. So going to see the Camille hitting that ban list. We'll see what is going to join it soon. Mundo's still on my mind. I feel like that champ is so good in lane now before getting any kind of nerfs that are on the PBE. I want to see if that's what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I think the Muno matchup into Gwen is just a little bit more difficult. She doesn't have anything that specifically will benefit his passive from it, and it's really up to the Mundo for positioning. If you just overstep just a single bit, that snip is going to snip half your health bar without you even realizing it. So, interested to see what they kind of want to go up here. actually mind seeing something like an Ornn give you some additional scaling, kind of more of a protect the Kog'Maw style composition for that, and you have the ability to be both aggressive and defensive with it.
Yeah, Ivy now. I'd expect a support here. The counter pick is already visible. You know you're up against Lulu Kog'Maw. Not expecting that Lulu to be flexed into a solo lane. Not expecting Kog'Maw to be flexed into a solo lane either. Although both are technically possible. So what is Turtle going to bust out here? When he hasn't gotten the Thresh, he has gone for some of those more niche picks. He's gone for the Karma, gone for the Taric, gone for the Blitzcrank. Curious if we see one of those here today, but no, it's going to be the Alistair. A little bit more standard, but a great duo with the Tristana. Really aggressive, can look to make some plays up against this Lulu and this Kog'Maw.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have minded to see the Blitzcrank. The pick potential with his hook is incredibly great, but also the static field active just means that you can obliterate any shields that the enemy team has. So Lulu Kog'Maw, if I mean they're stacking shields, so you have the ability to just kind of say no. But Alistar, really, really good for aggressive pick here for them. So they're just looking to kind of, really go all in. And a lot of this is going to come down to this Lulu and her polymorph. So we're going to see what Glaceon can really pull out on this champion here. But Seraphine is going to get locked in for them. So it looks like Wayne Friends is just kind of go all in on the Protect the Kog'Maw comp here.
Yeah, and it is looking like quite the comp right now. As you got two different sources to give over that Arden sensor, should also be a nice little boost to that Nocturne when he's going in for those assassination plays. And then they're going to round it on out with the Orange. Jimster's played this already. This split had a great performance on it. Will be able to give those item upgrades over to the Kog'Maw. And yeah, as you said, they're looking to protect the Kog'Maw this game. It's a classic 1v9 comp for the side of Dobbs here. It's all going to be on him.
Yeah, if they really wanted to go true funnel, I would have liked to have seen the Sonateric, but you know what? That's okay. I'll let them save it for game two. But it does look like the Silas is going to be the sponsor from Ivy. Silas being a relatively good matchup into the Seraphine, and he has a plethora of great ultimates to be able to seal here. The Paranoia, the Encore, Call the Forge God, even Wild Growth. So like it's a lot of potential playmaking abilities up here. So Avius is going to have to really be looking to be proactive and to set these things up for their team.
Yeah, absolutely hear that. Silas, as you said, has a plethora of ultimates to steal here today. Should it be a nice pick on the R5? Has been a little bit nerfed on this patch. Has a little bit less healing. It's a little bit less damage than he once did, but still should be able to lane up against the Seraphine pretty effectively. Not really a champion known for its laning prowess. And also, as you said, with the Nocturne coming into the jungle, not quite as good as having it directly in lane against you, but still, if he catches the Nocturne, pass it on through his lane, can just snag that ultimate, and all of a sudden, Silas is like a twisted fate. He can just hop into a side lane at a moment's notice once he has that paranoia taken away.
Yeah, it's going to be making it very, very difficult here. So, as we kind of get into our actual champion select here, where do you like it, to me, it looks like Ivy's composition really just kind of wants to fight early on. They want to have these skirmishes, they want to look for these trades, and they want to kind of accelerate any lead that they can get for themselves.
Yeah, that's certainly got to be the game plan here, and they have quite the setup in the bottom lane to go in for these early dives. So much of the meta in professional play is based around these 3-man, 4-man dives, especially in the bottom lane. And this is a comp that's really built for the ground up for that. You want to just be able to run through that Lulu Kog'Maw with the Olaf, with the Alistair for the engage. Both these champions great at tanking up turret and setting up for the others to pick up those kills. And Dobbs and Glaceon, they're going to have their work cut out for them because they picked this Lulu Kog'Maw very early, and they're facing down a team comp designed entirely to shut them down.
Yeah, so it's really going to just come down to how well is Wet and Friends going to be able to respond to these potential dive threats that they're going to be having coming in. It does look like Eraser is going to opt to go for the TP on this Gwen. Not going to be taking the Ignite, which is I guess it's a fine decision, but it's definitely an interesting one. I definitely think Ignite early on against Norm before he gets his items is very, very effective.
Yeah, almost you might even call it non-standard at this point, given
Yeah.
the wide amount of ignite teleport Gwens that we've seen. Seen a lot of ignites taken on the Nocturne as well, but it is going to be Flash coming through from Kumazu as well. Everybody in this game going to be opting towards that short range blink. Just throwing it back to old school where nobody ever considered even opting away from Flash, and instead it's going to be Flashes all across the board. Flash for the Olaf as well. You know, you see a lot of ghosts taking on that boy as well. But no, this game's going to be all Flash all the time.
Yeah, and we do see here that the Tristana is going to opt for the cleanse here, which I'll be honest is a slightly interesting decision for me. Yes, you can cleanse the Encore as well as the polymorph, but a lot of the CC from the side of Wen Friends, it's knockups. Right? You've got Call the Forge God, you're gonna have the Wild Growth, like it's a lot. So I'm really interested to see how well this cleanse choice works out for them.
Yeah, also exhaust over ignite on Alistair, which I understand you want to. Exhaust is so super good
Mhm.
up against Kog'Maw when he's going to be the primary damage source like this. But yeah, going in for those early kills, going in for those early dives, that is generally a summoner spell you want to have access to. And Ivy's not going to have it here. They're just going to have to be reliant on the damage in their champions' kits, not going to be getting any extra backup from those summoner spells.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really interested to see what the itemization for WH Turtle wants to be this game. I really think that just rushing Anathema's chains is probably just the best bet. Get it as early as you can on this Kog'Maw to reduce the impact that he has.
Certainly here what we're going to be watching out for. But with that said, we are going to throw it now to a quick break while we get loaded into game number one. We do not go anywhere. We're going to be right back onto the Rift with Way and Friends up against Ivy Black in the Aegis Defenders League. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Aegis Defenders League. We've got game one here of Way and Friends up against Ivy Gaming Black. We are loaded in. We are coming out of the base. We are ready for some League of Legends action, particularly around this bot lane. Trajan really looking to see how Zobs is going to be able to navigate this one.
Yeah, really kind of excited here to see what both teams want to bring to the party here. We do see Sinibu really aggressively throwing some axes to try to get early vision down into the jungle of WNF here, and we can see that going to be pretty successful without too much of a counter invade for that vision. So let's see where he wants to start. Olaf has the ability to start both sides of the map here. We're actually seeing a lot of junglers opting to start on their respective topside camps as they path towards the bot lane here. But it does look like the Olaf will be looking to start on his blue side, looking to get that as fat of a leash as possible for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely here. So just going to be the blue side starts for both of these junglers. We will see how they end up taking the path from there. But, you know, Nocturne probably does want to just keep up the farm until he can get up to that paranoia. But Sinibu may very well have the opportunity to go for some kind of early play on this Olaf, particularly towards this bottom lane. That's where you'd think he'd want to set it up. But we'll have to wait and see what he wants to go for here. So the leash is going to be completed and just going to be a little bit of a lane start.
Yeah, every time I see an Olaf, all I think is you just want an early lead. Like that's how you win the game. If Olaf's able to pick up a kill or two, game becomes incredibly difficult for the opposing team to look to get anything out of it. Now, a couple of things to keep in mind here. Number one, Kamazu was able to reset in time to get a sweeper and use it to give that vision over to Jimster in the top lane. So this Warren will be hitting level 2 first, but Eraser does not have any issues with letting him try to even think about approaching that minion wave there.
Yeah, no, just going to be a little bit of contention going on. It is really going to be tough for Jimster in the early levels here on this Ornn up against Gwen matchup. You got to believe that those scissors are just going to be a little bit too threatening until later on going to just have to try to farm it out with W and Q. And just like that, you see he takes a huge chunk of damage there from the snip. Meanwhile, Evan with an Eye going aggressively in the mid lane as well, using that Kingslayer to try to keep himself topped up, but a little bit too early for it to really do that. It's only going to net him just enough HP to survive, but still going to come out a little bit worse for wear on the trade.
Yeah, Kingslayer always helping to make those trades just a little bit better in favor of you, right? Now, something to keep in mind here that is really interesting to me for what WNF have drafted for themselves is they've essentially said, okay, we're going to have a ranged versus melee matchup in the mid lane, and this is something Ivy picked themselves into, but they're essentially weak-siding both their top and bot lanes. Like, Kog'Maw Lulu can't really be too aggressive into Tristana Alistar bot lane, so it's going to make things really awkward for them. And we can kind of see here that both junglers are going to be on opposite sides of the map here, so it's not going to even be something where they're going to even risk catching each other out here, and Kumazu's doing a really good job of making sure that they don't even want to go anywhere near this Olaf right now, because early on you will lose to him.
Yeah, Kamazu just scanning out that ward in the tri-brush, making sure that his bot lane is set up for success, is going to pick up that scuttler as well for a little bit added defense, but we do see Cinnyboo is lurking in the top lane, trying to make something happen. Razor going for a little bit of a bait here, taking a little bit of damage from the Ornn. Wants to see if he's going to go for that Searing Charge in. We'll see if the Gymster does end up buying it, but he appears to be keeping his distance. Going to get hit by the Undertow, but now should be able to just walk on out of there.
Yeah, and that's just a smart knowledge from the Gymster himself, right? Knowing that, hey, Olaf probably started on his blue. If I've got a wave that's going to be building up here, getting ready to crash, if he's going to gank, now's the time that he wants to do it here. So wisely, not over-aggressing too much into Razor. If they want to trade, forcing them to trade into this giant minion wave that he does have built for himself. So really, really smart play from him. And we can kind of see here now that both junglers are making their way down to their respective camps, as they will be starting to respawn here on the map. And both teams are kind of just sitting here, not doing a whole lot, but it does look like Cinnyboo is going to find Nocturne.
Yeah, Cinnyboo just sets up camp in the opposing blue side jungle, picks up the Gromp as it respawns, tries to jump onto the side of Kumazu as he comes in there. Just going to get a little bit of a chunk of damage out, but doesn't actually have the item lead, as Nocturne's gotten the recall off, Cinnyboo has not. So going to take a little bit of extra damage, just going to end up backing away. After trading a little bit of health bars, but you can see Kumazu gets to just get topped right back on off. He's got the refillable potion. He's got the passive still giving full power regen as long as you're hitting jungle creeps. So he's going to be just fine.
Yeah, but more importantly, though, Cinnyboo was able to steal away that level 2 Gromp, the second tier Gromp away from this Nocturne, and that's a reasonable amount of golden XP taken away. So getting these little advantages, even if you're not able to get kills, generating what you can for yourself is really, really great. And because of that, this Olaf will be hitting level 6 before Nocturne does. So small advantage on there, and Cinnyboo can look to be a bit more aggressive, probably, I would assume, near the spot or mid lane.
Yeah, this next Scuttle Crab going to be spawning in the bottom river. That's really where we do think that Cinnyboo should make his presence known. He should be favored to win the fight. He's gotten his recall off, picking up that Iron Spike Whip, going to be running back on out of the base, and that would be the nice setup here for the first dragon of the game for the side of Ivy Gaming Black. It's kind of an old meme at this point, but the story used to be, you know, you pick Olaf, you automatically get the first 2 dragons, and Cinnyboo's certainly going to want to make that true here today.
You can see Cinnyboo pathing straight down towards it as Karn and Turtle are going to be pushing out the spot lane. Tristana being able to do that quite easily. But it is going to get started up here, and it does not look like there's going to be that much of a response from WNF here, right? They don't have mid lane prio. They definitely don't have bot lane prio here now. And it is going to be an Infernal Dragon given over to the side of Ivy Gaming here.
Yeah, and that should be fine here, because you can see Dobbs, they know that they're in the losing lane, but he's keeping up in CS just fine. He's even got a CS lead here up against Karn's Tristana. This is supposed to be, you know, the aggressive bully Kog'Maw Lulu lane, but they're coming out just fine here. They're picking up their gold. He's stacking up his cull, getting the extra cash out of that one, and they're willing to give up the first 2 dragons if it means they get their Kog'Maw Lulu comp through the laning phase.
Yeah, you can see here that they opted to just go straight for the Berserker Greaves. Getting that additional attack speed obviously helps because you do percent maximum health damage, but it also means that, hey, you're going to be that much faster, so it's going to be harder for Tristana and Alistar to catch up to you when they either are sitting on tier 1 boots or no boots at all.
Yeah, definitely 7 minutes in here. Been a pretty quiet game thus far. Nicely played by both sides, but it does look like Wayne friends are getting what they want out of it. Here comes the aggression coming through from Tristana, but the Polymorph going to come on through. She's going to lose way more health than she does damage. And that's going to pretty much be it. Cinnyboo was not quite there for the gank yet, was still walking on down the river. Maybe pulled the trigger a little bit too early on the side of the bot lane for Ivy Gaming Black. And now they know where Olaf is. They're well aware of what's going on here. They're hiding out under their turret, and there is no play to be made.
Yeah, and you can kind of see there again, the Berserker Greaves, that was what happened. Oh, top lane fight going on here.
There's the first paranoia of the game coming right on top of Gwed, and the call, the Forge God just one-shots her there. Nicely played by the Gymster and Kumazu. They pick up first blood for the side of Way and Friends.
Yeah, and that's going to be really nice. Gymster had a wave set up for himself to be slow pushing in to, and now that it is fully crashed, it's going to be slow pushing back into him, and as Ornn, that is incredibly ideal here. Now, as with that bot lane exchange, they're kind of going back to it. Gordo, like we said, you saw the Berserker crews come into play, right? This Kog'Maw had them available. Dobbs was able to just kind of walk away from Turtle, and Turtle couldn't catch up to him because the move speed on this Kog'Maw was faster than him.
Yeah, absolutely here. Nicely played. The side of Way and Friends, they get themselves off to a nice early lead here. Teleport going to come through from Evan with an eye. He's going to look to go aggressively in this mid lane now with a little bit of an item advantage. Chunks a lot of health there out of Aegis, but he's just going to be able to take a recall here. He's got a teleport of his own. Shouldn't be too many lasting impacts as a result. And now look at the Jimster already starting to push the little advantage he got for himself there. Doesn't quite actually get any damage out of the pillar, but is willing to take a little bit more of aggressive trades now that he's got a gold advantage up against this Gwen.
Yeah, Eraser trying to clear vision out as we do see Cinebu is in the area looking for a potential gank up here onto Jimster, but Jimster still has flash available. Call the 4 guys will be up relatively soon, and importantly, Eraser doesn't have needlework available.
Yeah, and he does not have Searing Charge either, does the Jimster, so going to have a little bit of trouble getting away here. Nice flash there. It's going to be met with a flash of Cinebu's own, along with the Ragnarok just trying to chase down this Ornn. He tries to turn it around, but it's not going to be successful. Cinebu going to get a trail back in the top lane, and that is going to be an assist given over to the side of a Razor as well. Trying to keep things even up here on the top side of the map is Ivy as they strike back to get the second kill of the game.
Yeah, but importantly, though, that kill did go over to the Olaf, though. Again, getting that extra gold, starting to try to slowly accelerate the lead that you want to get for yourselves here. One thing we didn't really get to talk about Cinebu here is his summoner spell choice, right? We decided that we wanted to go for the flash on the Olaf. Now, it's always an argument for me, right? I always think personally that, oh, never mind, I'm just going to let you talk right here because it looks like we might have some action coming on.
Yeah, they're setting up a play onto Dobbs here, but don't quite have the follow-up quite yet. Pulverized Headbutt's already been used. The teleport comes through from the Jimster. There's the Paranoia as well. They're looking to turn this play here in a 4 versus 3. The Sphere going to come down on to the side of Karn. He's going to be forced to rocket jump away. They're getting so much damage on a cross, but haven't quite finished off any targets. Dobbs going to finish off onto Turtle there, and now with Jimster tanking up the turret, he's going to back out away. There's a nice abduct coming through from Evan, but might be more than he bargains for as he gets pulled in the middle of 3 members. Now he has the jungler Cinebu for the backup. There's going to be the teleport coming through from the side of a Razor as well, trying to finish on off a couple of kills with the needlework. Isn't doing quite enough damage to any targets yet, though. The Jimster, though, left a little bit out to dry. He's going to get finished on off onto. Dobbs is now trying to rain down the damage there with the Kog'Maw. Doesn't have any items completed yet, just has 3 daggers in the inventory, along with some Berserker Greaves. That's just not enough here to actually finish off the side of Ivy, as now we can see Evan is still trying to keep this play going, dives in onto the opposing support, isn't able to finish him off, though, ends up giving a kill back over to the side of Dobbs. That is going to be a 2-for-1 at the end of the day in favor of Way and Friends.
What an incredible exchange of gold and life that we just got to see there, Gordo. Both teams committed multiple TPs, multiple ultimates, but Cinebu didn't have the Ragnarok available for themselves. Turtle had not quite hit level 6 yet, but Glaceon did. So had that wild growth available for them. Turtle didn't have access to the Unbreakable Will, so wasn't able to really face tank the damage that they wanted to there. And at the end of the day, it's going to be WNF coming out ahead. Just a little bit over 1,000 gold lead. Second Dragon spawning here. They're going to have priority for it, as we do see Karn hasn't been able to reset for it yet. So he's going to have to. But meanwhile, if you look in the mid lane, our Avius was able to just kind of come to the wasn't even part of that fight at all, right? The Seraphine just continued to push mid lane, got 4 plates, solo gold on herself now, has a really good CS lead over Evan with an eye, who didn't really get anything out of the exchange in the bot lane besides blowing a bit of roam timing, and now it's looking like there's going to be a reasonably difficult push here in this mid lane.
Ooh, that was actually Encore used for the top lane. Doesn't actually get anything done through the mist there. A little bit of Gwen difference. Now we can see Cinebu actually is coming up. We already talked about the Seraphine ultimate was just used. The wave is cleared on out. This is going to be a dive coming through onto the side of Aegis, trying to keep himself alive as long as possible. He's actually getting some nice damage back onto the side of a Razor. Doesn't end up landing the beat drop, but he's finishing him off with a high note anyway. It's a 1-for-1 in the top lane. Nicely played by the mid laner of Way and Friends. Turns it around. Picks himself up a 1-for-1.
Yeah, that was some fancy feet work if I have ever seen one. Avius doing a really great job. First turret will actually end up going over to the side of Way and Friends here, but
ooh, that's a big Paranoia coming on through. A lot of damage from this Nocturne with the Iron Spike Whip. Just finishes off another kill back onto Cinebu. That's a shutdown, as that Olaf was 3-0, and just like that, Way and Friends once again make it a favorable play for themselves. It just happened to the bottom lane where they turned around what was going to be a 3 versus 2 dive, and now they turn around the trade in the top lane as well, trading 1-for-1 and then picking up another kill on the backside.
Yep. Oh, we see the Hex Flash coming in.
Oh, they're going in on to Dobbs here. He's a little bit in the wrong area, going to get pushed on back, but he's just going to get finished on off by the explosive shot coming through from Karn. Karn's looking to make this 2 now. Lulu has no escape, no flash, no movement speed boosts available, but now he does have a top laner going to be throwing on down that Call to Forge God, trying to turn it around onto Karn here, who is so incredibly low. Doesn't quite have the steering charge yet, isn't able to get onto this Tristana, but he's going to chase him across the map if they have to. There's the Bellows Breath. That's enough damage. The Q finishes him on off. Jimster picking himself up another kill, showing why he has such ridiculous damage stats even on these tank picks. Gets himself another kill.
Jimster has been all over this map. It is actually unbelievable the amount of walking that this Ram has been doing. He has just been waddling his way across this rift, and it's not even 15 minutes into the game yet. So really great intuition by him and being able to respond appropriately to these plays that are going to be happening. And we can see that even he was able to get the solo gold of the mid lane turret, open that up for his team, and now with the bot lane turret being able to be preserved, it does look like that we do in fact see Dobbs making his way up there to match Eraser on this Gwen. And with the Kog'Maw having boots too and the Ginsu's Rageblade finish, he can kite this Gwen just kind of to death at this point.
Yeah, that's the damage item that was missing from that earlier engage. If a fight like that happens again now, you can very much expect that Dobbs is going to be shredding through all the members of Ivy Gaming Black, picking up some kills for his team. And Ivy now, they got to take a different approach here. They got to find a way to get onto Dobbs to shut down this Kog'Maw a little bit more effectively. Yes, they picked up a kill on him, on Karn, just a couple of moments ago, but that still ends up just being a 1-for-1 in the extended trade. You need to actually kind of shut him out of the game and actually make sure that you're pushing in, making him miss minions, etc., etc.
Yeah, and we do see here that Aegis on the Seraphine has opted to go for the Leandri's build. Does have the tier stacking, but also went for the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. So going to be looking to spam these spells and just kind of let them do their thing over time here. So in addition to this Kog'Maw, you do have a really good AP threat out of her coming in the form of all the magic damage that she will be doing.
Ooh, as that's going to be the Abduct missing away, but it is a stolen away encore, forcing the engage here from Evan with an eye. You gotta believe he's going to be able to be favored in this fight, but there comes the paranoia once again. It's Kamazu where he needs to be, turning around the fight onto Evan with an eye, picking up another kill for the side of Way and Friends. Now it is going to be a Razor going aggressively in this top lane, but this is a very tanky Ornn with a whole bunch of items already. Takes reduced damage from autos thanks to those plated steel caps, and now he's looking to actually turn around the fight, sees that Razor has no mana left, it feels like he can take it. So now there's another fight starting to break out in the bottom lane. Ivy has the collapse here from the side of Cinny Boo, who's going to be right on top of the remaining members of Way and Friends, going to pick themselves up 2 kills for none there, as Seraphine and Nocturne just overextend a little bit too far.
Yeah, they got the turret, and you can kind of see that Cindy Boo was making his way down to the bot lane to try to assist Evan in that 1v1 duel, but by the time he got down there, the paranoia had been used, he was dead, and Cindy Boo was just kind of forced to sit there and wait. But Karn and Turtle made their way down there, picked up the kills, and again, it was just a bit of an overextension from WNF here. And if they really kind of want to continue to extend this lead, that's now at about 2,500 gold, they really just need to reel themselves back a little bit here and make sure that they're understanding that, hey, we're gonna win this scaling war at some point here. We have the Ornn, we have the Kog'Maw, we have the Seraphine. It's going to be really hard for Ivy to kind of force themselves into these team fights once you get down to that. But it does look like because of that play, they're going to have to give up the second dragon here. And with it being an Ocean Soul, whatever team gets that is going to be incredibly favored in any of these fights that break out, no matter how far behind you might even be.
Yeah, Ivy going to get themselves that dragon lead here while Way and Friends just try to trade over on the top side, but there is no Rift Herald. That was already picked up by Cinny Boo earlier on, so there's really not too much to grab here unless they're going to fight for top turret. Evan with an eye going to take a couple of shots here from Dobbs' Kog'Maw, but not really an engage to be had here for anybody on either side.
Yeah, neither team really has a significant amount of engage tools on themselves. Honestly, it's going to be one of those things here where Turtles and Evan are kind of the big engage tools for Ivy. They're the ones that kind of want to go in and be able to do that. You don't want to have your Razor, you don't want to have Cindy Boo starting these engages off just because they're going to get bursted down really quickly and there's not a whole lot that they can do about it. But meanwhile, on the side of WNF, all of their tools that can be aggressive tools are also defensive tools, right? Encore, Paranoia, Call the Forge God. You see these and you hear them and you're like, oh, well, you can just use those to get a pick. You can use those. But no, you in these team fights, Paranoia can be simply used to just deny vision while you burst down an objective or start up an objective. So it's going to be underway and have to kind of really look to utilize that in more unique ways.
Yeah, certainly here, and it is actually going to be the Chem Tank coming through for the side of the Gymster here, so also looking to have a little bit more engaged power on top of the Call the Forge God that he already has. So now we can see it might be Kamazu with a little bit of a flank angle, going to throw on over the Duskbringer, but it is just going to be backed away from. There's the stolen Call the Forge God coming on through from the side of Evan with an eye, trying to force the engage here onto the side of the Gymster. He is a little bit too far up, and Eraser's going to finish him on off. Now with the Needlework, still going to keep the fight going. Cogwall is kiting back, though. That's like a 5-man encore coming on through here from the side of Aegis. That might be the turnaround they were looking for, but they've already lost their carry in the form of the Cogmaw. It's Eraser's Gwen, just does too much damage, popping off once again here. Picks up a couple of kills there. The passive from the Cogmaw going to end up picking up a kill back onto Evan with an eye, but it is going to be a pretty even fight, all things considered. 2 for 3 in favor of Ivy here. As Turtle's looking to make more happen. So now there's another engage coming through from Karn. Flashes forward, trying to finish on off onto the opposing mid laner, but Aegis actually has managed to pick up the kill there onto Turtle. Another 1-for-1 comes through. That is going to make it a 4 for 3.
Yeah, both teams there just getting a little over aggressive, right? We saw Call the Forge God come out from Evan, who had in fact stolen it from Gymster, able to do what he thought was going to be a knock-up onto Kamazu, but was able to spell shield that, unfortunately, and then the Paranoia use, and then Avius landed a 4-person, almost a 5-person encore, but unfortunately the damage backup just wasn't there for them. Their team composition had already been split up quite a bit there, and Gymster had been more or less bursted out of that fight at that point, so not able to get in there means that Orns can't kind of frontline and suck up all this damage that you want to, especially when there's an Olaf just kind of beating on him, which generally that's not where you want to be as an Olaf, I'll be completely honest, but for that fight for Ivy it worked. But at the end of the day, they're still down about 2,000 gold, but this game is still incredibly close, Gordo.
Certainly is here, Trajan. Their gold is pretty much stayed the same over the course of the last few minutes. It was about 2K in favor of Flay and Friends just about 5 minutes ago, and is sticking to just about that amount here. As you can see, these teams start to set up well in advance of the next Dragon. 1:30 to go on the next Ocean Drake, and want to make sure they are going to be the ones having control over that. Is going to be Eraser just clearing on out some of those blast cones, not looking to start a fight here, and is not going to end up being caught out.
Yeah, both teams are kind of just letting themselves scale up and get to that point now. But something to keep in mind here, Karn, 3-1-2 on the Shoshana, has picked up quite a lot of gold for himself on this champion. Is about to finish the Phantom Dancer, not too far, well, a reasonable amount of gold behind Dobbs on this Kog'Maw right now, but still within that 1 item range, which at any point could be completely blown open depending on how these next couple of fights get played.
Yeah, absolutely here. Another 5-man encore certainly would be what Way and Friends are looking for in this fight. They kind of had the ultimate team fight there as in regards to how their Seraphine performed, but they just lost Orange so early on, weren't able to really get any value out of Gymster, that it just was too little too late, and Dobbs was able to get engaged on. To be looking to have some better fight lines this time around, although once again Gymster is a little bit cut off from the rest of the team, but he's looking to just take the fight onto Turtle, get some nice damage onto the opposing support, but it's not going to be able to take it any farther. They're starting to group up around this Dragon, just throwing skill shots back and forth.
Both teams vying for control over this, but it does look like that WNF are going to be the ones that are going to be grouped up, but Eraser has a huge flank here. Yeah,
there's the Paranoia coming through from the Silas, actually going to be responded to in turn. Call the Forge God comes on across, does not get knocked back on through. That's another huge encore, but it's again after the Kog'Maw's already been finished on off. There's very little damage left for the side of Way and Friends. How are they going to be able to turn this one around? It looks like they're not going to be able to do so. Karn is leading the charge here, has no fear, as he knows there's very little damage available on the other side. He gets hit by some Seraphine, though, and that's going to be the dash back on in from the Nocturne, picking on up some nice kills. The healing from Seraphine comes in clutch as they're able to turn the fight back on around. Way and Friends, they don't need Kog'Maw, even with the Kog'Maw composition. They got enough damage on their jungler and mid laner. They turn around the fight, pick up 4 for 1.
What the hell is Seraphine? You know, I know we said that on release. I know we said that 2 months after release, and here we are almost half a year after her release, I think, and we're still saying that, Gordo. That isn't support Seraphine. That's not Moonstone. That's Leandri's. That's Seraph's Embrace. That is absolutely insane. The amount of utility and damage that Aegis has been able to put out this game has been just disgusting. We are really just kind of looking at it come down to is, can Aegis stay alive in these team fights? But we thought it was going to be Dobbs. No, it's all about the Seraphine right now. Has the Seraph's Embrace. It's going to transform, or the Archangel's finish. I'm sorry. It will transform here soon, as it does look like we're only about 20 mana away from that, so that's going to be a huge spike for her there. And then the Chemtech Putrefier just got finished as well, so not only that, but she's going to be able to give universal Grievous wounds to her entire team.
Hear me out, Trajan. It's all a bait. It looks like it's a Kog'Maw comp. So everybody groups up together to get on top of the Kog'Maw, and that's just a setup for the huge multi-man encores from the Seraphine. It's excellently executed here by Wei and friends. Obviously, they do prefer to have Dobbs alive in these fights, but they seem to be making them happen here with or without their Kog'Maw, and that's certainly a good sign for them coming into these later game fights.
Yeah, and Ivy has just been underestimating this. They killed Dobbs in both of these last two team fights that we had, and like, okay, great, we killed the Kog'Maw, we win, right? Well, no. Jimster on this Ornn, Aegis on the Seraphine, they both do an insane amount of damage. People don't realize that Ornn can just one-shot someone.
Yeah, they certainly do not here, and he is well and truly set up to do so here. Has the Thorn Mail as well to survive some of this burst damage coming through from Karn, to survive the damage from Sinibu, and to reduce the healing that they are getting from the Gwen, from the Olaf, from the Silas. Be a nice pickup there for his side. As we can see, Wei and friends are looking to set up for this Baron. They are going to start it on off here, and it does not look like Ivy are set up to contest.
Yeah, they saw that there were two of their solo lanes in the bot lane, but it does look like they're going to try.
Yeah, they set up actually pretty quickly here, but the Ragnarok's already been popped up by the side of Sinibu. He's just going to get zeroed out before the fight can even really get started. The teleport did come on through from Razor, but it's just a little bit too late. The flank from Karn coming on through, but he's kind of frontline Tristana here. Going to be forced to use the ultimate. The flash encore goes wide, does not land onto anybody, but now it is going to be the side of Jimster leading the charge, trying to get some knockups, not going to be able to do so. So that's all the engage tools left for Wei and friends used here. They're not going to be able to pick up any more targets, but they do have the opposing jungler down. That should be the only go button they need to look to keep going on to this Baron. See Karn's over on the other side looking to rain down some damage. Evan with an eye is here as well, has stolen away that encore, is going to be looking to land it onto many targets, but they just turn onto a Razor here. They know that he's on the wrong side of dodge, but now it is going to be Jimster getting engaged on the other side. The encore comes on across, but only lands onto Lulu. They aren't able to finish off on the Kog'Maw quite yet, but now here comes a Razor on the backside trying to zero this guy out, but oh my goodness, he just does so much damage. They rip through the bot lane, they rip through the top lane, they pick up 3 kills for none, and now it's time to get out of that Baron once again. Sinibu has respawned and is coming back, but he certainly does not want this 1 versus 5 fight. Unless he does, he's just walking around here trying to make something happen, but he should have no pathway in. Jimster is regenerating from his Ocean Drake. He's got plenty of HP left, and he can zone off that Olaf wall on his own. Baron goes inside of Wei and friends.
You know, Gordo, at some point, I'm pretty sure every single member of Wei and friends in that fight was under half health. Yet, they finished the Baron healthier than when the fight first started. And that is just absolutely insane to me when you think about it here. And now they've got a Baron under their belt. Soul is not even a question of contention for them right now. They have a 6,000 gold lead, and they're set up in a primo position to really just kind of look to close this game 1 out here. You can see their Ivy thought that they were going to look for a pincer with a flank, but Eraser couldn't get a good angle into that fight. Just the members of them zoned them off here.
Oh, Lulu face checks here. Glaceon just going to get bursted on out by the side of Evan with an eye. That's going to be the encore coming on through, only landing on a 1 target, and that target pops Ragnarok. Not going to be able to follow further onto the Olaf. They've already lost their support, but they're looking to keep the fight going anyway. Kog'Maw just showing on up to this fight a little bit later. Call the Forge God knocks up a couple of targets, but not going to be able to be followed up on. This dragon is spawning in just a few seconds here. They're going to have their Lulu in time, but going to take some time to return from the base. Call the Forge God stolen away by Evan with an eye. Doesn't look like they're going to keep going, though. The push instead is just getting started by Wei and friends. They have the Baron buff. They can always take priority in these lanes at will.
Yeah, and Wayne friends don't even need to fight for this this fifth dragon here. They can say, you know what, you guys can take this, get yourselves on soul point, but it's not gonna matter. But they're gonna face check this bush.
No, but it's going to be Cogmaw ulti, Living Artillery, always giving them the vision that they need from plenty far away. They know exactly where they are. They know exactly what objective they're doing, but they are going to go for exactly the play you said, Trajan. They're going to look to just run it down mid lane now while the Dragon is getting started on off. That's going to be Cinnyboo using the ultimate, or Evan with an eye rather, using that Call to Forge God, trying to get in onto the other team. Not really going to make much happen off of it. It's going to be Eraser leading the charge, but immediately forced to back away. Karn going to jump over the wall to try to clear sub waves, but it's just too little too late. The side of Ivy Gaming Black are completely cut off here. They're losing so many turrets. They've lost 2 on this push alone, and now here comes the disengage from Way and Friends. They don't quite take the fight quite yet, but it looks like they're going to be able to just walk on out of here. Nobody can get on in from the side of Ivy. They lose 2 turrets for the Dragon.
Yeah, and in complete fairness, this is Ivy's win condition. They set themselves up for Soul. Their base got broken, but their inhibitor still stood strong. So they're not under an insane amount of pressure here. They can still relatively be free to move around this map. So at the end of the day, this is one of the best case scenarios for them, as long as these inhibitors don't get taken. So WNF are going to pick up probably a couple more turrets here. It looks like at least 1 more, if not 2, but they're not able to crack any of these inhibitors, really accelerate the pace of this game before this 6th dragon will spawn. But we do see there that Jimster, level 15, has given out 2 of those ornaments, and they are going to be relatively dangerous ones onto the Kog'Maw, onto the Seraphine.
Yeah, it's going to be the Typhoon coming through onto this Kog'Maw in particular. Should be huge here, giving a lot of extra AD over to the carry for the side of Way and Friends. Pretty valuable here. Karn, at risk of getting caught on out, he avoids the beat drop. Now probably has a good idea that plenty of Way and Friends are camping out in that little bush at the top lane. The ones who don't get their recall off are going to be forced to just run for the hills here. They should be able to escape, though. No real engage tools left for the side of Ivy.
Yeah, and what it looks like Ivy's been doing, which I really appreciate, is you see Eraser and Evan split pushing together. And the reason with it being is, if at any point Jimster tries to engage onto Evan or onto Eraser without knowing the other one is there, he's immediately going to be in a really difficult situation, because he's itemized almost exclusively armor. Has the Warmogs complete, so will be relatively healthy, but it makes it incredibly difficult to sustain through this amount of magic damage that they're going to be dealing to him. But it does look like they're just going to kind of let him walk free here, as it does look like Evan and Eraser want to kind of pick up some extra items for themselves and look for what is surely going to be one of the final team fights of this game.
Yeah, it's a huge gold lead for the side of Way and Friends. They've executed fairly well up until this point. Lost Kog'Maw a few times, but have been able to take the fights anyway. So now we can see they got a little bit of a pick here onto Eraser. It's going to be the Paranoia popped on down, going on in now. The stopwatch is blown to keep Eraser alive for the time being. Is going to be able to escape, but he's going to lose a turn on the backside. Now dashes back in. Don't know about that decision, as they're just going to get bursted out in a second by Dobbs here. The CC from the Ornn is plenty to hold down that Gwen to be able to pick up another kill. And now with a 5 versus 4 push coming on through, it is going to be Way and Friends looking to crack open the base yet again as they...
Oh. All right.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Gordo.
Thank you. I don't know. The play went as expected. They finished off the bot lane inhibitor. They're finishing off the mid lane inhibitor as well. And Way and the Friends are just taking their lead, and they're shoving it down Ivy Gaming's throats as they pick up a couple kills.
Yeah, and Way and Friends didn't even have Baron there, so this is absolute disaster for Ivy. You saw Eraser looking to go for a potential hero play, trying to build as much space as possible for the rest of his team to be able to collapse, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough, and he dashed back in and got picked off, unfortunately, which because of that, it gave WNF the amount of pressure that they needed to take another turret, take 2 inhibitors here, and with the Baron spawning in 20 seconds, it's going to be almost impossible for Ivy to even think about trying to contest this, because WNF just have to wait. They don't have to start this Baron. They can just sit and wait for these super minion waves to flood into Ivy's base.
Yeah, certainly here as the Baron is going to be spawning on up. You can see Way and Friends are already here. They're already in position. They're ready to get started right away here. Cinnyboo is over the wall, but as you said, Trajan, they got to get back there. They got to look to defend up against these minion waves. You can see Evan with an eye and Eraser are standing, already clearing the waves as they come. It's going to be a nice little jump over the wall there from the side of the Jimster. Fight getting started just now, as they are going to move forward onto this Baron. Nobody quite looking to pull the trigger quite yet. It will be getting started pretty soon, though, as this Baron is going to be reset here. That's a little successful play by Ivy Gaming Black, but Way and friends can just chase them back away now. Will this fight get started or will it not? Evan with an eye going to steal away the ultimate here from Seraphine, looking to get a little encore of his own, but instead they're just going to move towards this dragon. Way and friends are a little bit too concerned about giving up soul.
Yeah, really smart positioning by them here. We see Jimster looking to be really aggressive into 4 people.
Yeah, Turtle going to be
Cogboy damage.
Pulverize can be forced to use the ultimate, and look at all this damage coming on through from Cogboy. As you said, Hurricane allows him to rain it all across all 3 members ahead of them, and they're going to melt through him before they can get their place started. Evan with an eye and Karn, the last man standing now, as they're going to be forced to run for the hills. Rocket jump used, flash used by Karn to get as much distance as possible. Will be able to survive, but he's going to have to make a stand here with his mid laner at the Nexus, as this is Way and friends looking for the win here. Karn gets the last few shots on across from Dobbs. He's going to be taken out as well, and it is now only Evan with an eye left alive, channeling the recall outside of his base, but he's not even going to get here in time. Only going to see his Nexus fall as Way and friends take game number 1.
What an incredible game 1 of our series, Gordo, in all honesty. So we were able to see Wayne friends just execute their comp beautifully, and you could see that they understood the larger scale of the macro of what they wanted to play. They started up the Baron, they baited out the TP play from Evan with an eye and went, okay, great, we don't have to do this. Dragon is spawning, we have to just walk down there because they need to contest us on this. The only way that they can find a potential to get back into this game is getting that Ocean Soul there. And because there wasn't any vision set up for them, it was just really easy for Jimster to just sit in a bush there, and when 4 people from Ivy face checked it, that's all she wrote. The Cogman was able to get off so much damage in that last fight. It was incredible.
Yeah, and an excellent performance from Aegis in particular here on this Seraphine, able to really carry them through those mid-game fights. There were nice executions by Ivy Gaming Black to get onto the Kog'Maw and to finish on off Dobbs, but some great encores there from the mid laner on the side of Way and friends were really able to turn around those fights and either keep them even or make them wins for the side of Way and friends. That really let them get through into the late game, get their Kog'Maw to the point where he was able to just wipe the enemy team as he did in that last fight.
Yeah, all in all, really great performance from them here. Definitely going to be interested to see what alterations they want to make and what ban adjustments Ivy Gaming is going to have for themselves, and see if they can't, if WNF can't carry that momentum into game 2 of our series here.
Certainly. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into that draft, but do not go anywhere. We're going to be right back with more action in the Aegis Defenders League. Welcome back, everybody, to game number 2 of Ivy Gaming Black up against Way and friends in the Aegis Defenders League. Week 3, best of 3 group stage here. We just saw Way and friends take a pretty impressive game number 1 here up against the favored Ivy Gaming. Now we'll see if Ivy's able to come on back in game number 2.
Yeah, really, again, interested to see what alterations that Ivy wants to make to their game plan in terms of any potential bans as well as picks for themselves. They have opted to take blue side in game 2 here, so that means that they do have something that they probably do want to priority pick. I have to imagine it's going to be something similar to the Seraphine if they're not going to ban it. We do see the Lulu ban will be coming out here this game. They just don't want to have that champion available to WNF here in game 2 of their series, and the Nocturne ban. So Ivy's has no intention of taking that out of their out for Cinebu at all. So really interested to see what they want to first pick here then.
Yeah, definitely. They have a lot of options available to them. I want to look towards that Gwen again. It still looks good, even in the loss. Clearly a champ that Razor does favor for themselves. Is something that is still blindable in certain circles, and I certainly would not be surprised if this is one of them. That would be my pick. Also, some powerful jungle options available. The Xin Zhao is up. We know that a lot of players do favor that one quite a bit. But it's going to be the Syndra. That's another one. Evan with an eye had some great performances on the Syndra last week. Is going to be busting it out again today. It was banned in game number 1, and now he's going to be showing it off.
Yeah, looking to have something with a bit more zone control, a little bit more dominance in the lane. The range matchup obviously helps themselves as well. But first picking the mid laner on the side of Ivy is bold, I'll be honest. I feel like it would have been better to save it to your second round rotation of picks for the side of them. But it's just going to be probably a Viego. Yeah, it's going to be a Viego pick over here for WNF. That champion is absolutely I won't say busted, but is still an incredibly strong champion. And especially in a fives environment, when you just play for him to get a possession, you just want to burst one person down singularly. It makes fights so much more difficult for the opposing team, just because of the threat of him being able to possess someone else and have their kit at his disposal.
Yeah, certainly would favor that one for Kumazu in particular, as likes it in the jungle position a little bit more than solo lanes these days. But speaking of things that we like in solo lanes these days, that's going to be the Seraphine. Locked in for Wei and Friends yet again. Cannot blame Aegis for wanting to take that one for himself yet again. Has had a great performance on it in game number 1. And is going to be running it back here unless it does get flexed into that bottom lane. Just still a possibility we got to keep our eyes on. Glaceon's played the Seraphine already this split. This is a flex pick.
Yeah, and it's a good flex pick at that, right? The Volibear is going to be the pickup here first. I would assume Cindy it can be flexed into the top lane, but I feel like they want to put a Racer on something a bit more proactive. If I think, yeah, a bit more proactive. That's the word I want to use here. Really interested by this pick though. The Volibear just hasn't been as impactful as he has over the last few weeks or even months. He was really strong post Hecarim nerfs, but now that we've kind of seen here, yep, we are going to see. It looks like they're going to lock in the Gwen here, so Eraser will be taking that back. The Volibear pick is just doesn't do as much in my opinion. Yes, he's really good at turret dives, but you have champions like Xin Zhao and Diana that are in the game that just do that, and they scale much better as a damage threat and are a lot harder to deal with in a lot of situations too. The Volibear just feels very linear to me here.
Yeah, Razor going to take that Gwen again here. Is going to be running it back in the top lane with that champion. So now that it's going to be the Ezreal here, locked in now for the side of Wei and Friends. They decide that Dobbs going to play it a little bit easier this game. Had the Kog'Maw in the last game with no mobility. Is going to shift gears a little bit, play the Ezreal instead.
Well, and this Ezreal pick is great for them right now because if you look at Ivy's composition, they really don't have any good backline access. Anything that can reach incredibly far back and get on top of this Ezreal, that's presumably going to be sat next to by the Seraphine. So you have the Stormbringer from Volibear, but it's not nearly enough, especially with an Ezreal with Flash, Heal, and Arcane Shift. You're not going to be able to get on top of them. And because you still get to the luxury of building Divine Sunderer, you're also going to have that additional health, a little bit of sustain, and be able to heal through a lot of damage that would be dealt to you. So I really like this pickup here for them. And we do see here a few more ADCs are going to get banned out. The Lucian, obviously a mid pick, so it does look like Ivy's expecting the Seraphine to be in the bot lane here. But Varus and Uddle is going to be banned here. Both very strong comfort champions for Karn and Turtle. This is a game that I would actually really like to see Blitzcrank. I think this is a really good Blitzcrank game for Turtle.
Yeah, could definitely see that one coming on through here. Already has picked it, as we've talked about already, so could see a little bit of Blitzcrank action is certainly possible. First, it is going to be Wei and Friends taking their pick here on the red side for their 4th selection. Could be a support, could be another solo laner, could even be a jungler if you want to take that Viego up into the top lane or over even into the mid lane, although that's one I really have not seen since the nerfs. Still, a whole lot of options are available over to the side of Wei and Friends here. Is they're hovering the Jace here? That would be something interesting for Jimster.
Yeah, Jace being out of the range to stay away from Gwen, saving the shock blast for when her mist is down, and then being able to engage at her in close quarters, even if it is up. So have a lot of good back and forth potential up here in the top lane. A very, very volatile top lane, though. Don't get me wrong, right? So Jimster needs to be able to perform on this champion, and we've seen him be able to perform on the Mundo, on the Ornn, but those are tanks, and Jace is a carry. And yes, it is going to be the Blitzcrank. So I really like this pick for Ivy here. I think this is probably the best option for their composition right.
Gold star, Trajan. You called the draft. Congratulations, you're the real winner in this evening, regardless of who does end up taking this series here. And now we are going to see how this comp does get rounded on out. It is very likely going to be a top laner here. No, actually, there's already Gwen locked in, so this is going to be an AD carry. So it's going to be a Felios. Called that one myself. I'll give myself a silver star. As yeah, it's going to be a pretty good matchup up against the Ezreal, something that can be expected to farm on out, something that should have some team fight power in the later game. Makes sense for Ivy here, but still feels like they are going to be kind of short that access to the Ezreal you were talking about earlier on, and they don't really have winning lanes either to back it up.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult for City Boot to even think about contesting Scuttle Crabs in this fight. And
Oh, it's busted.
oh.
It's busted.
All right,
Oh
this Ezreal's
no.
never died. I'm calling it. Dobbs should just never die. I
He's
don't want to see
immune.
him die at all this
He
game.
can't be touched. As yeah, Wei and friends, they got a crazy poke pick comp here for themselves. They got super long range lockdown here from the Jace, or not lockdown from the Jace, super long range damage from the Jace and the Ezreal, super long range lockdown from the Morgana and the Seraphine. And if you manage to get anybody low enough, the Aego's going to go on in and get themselves some resets. I really like this comp coming through from Wei and friends.
Yeah, this is. They don't have no don't let's not get overzealous here, Gordo. They don't have a front line, but with the way that they drafted themselves, they don't need a front line.
Yeah, no, it's classic Siege comp. I do like these setups. They are a little bit difficult to execute on. You really do have to have some what's the word? Some reservation, some ability to control yourself from just diving on in and trying to get those fights. Because even once you are ahead, there's always the risk that, you know, Volibear smalls you, you're locked down for super long, you get hit by the Scatter the Weak from Syndra, and you just get blown on up because you don't have that true front line.
Yeah, and that being said, right, scaling for both teams is going to be very, very good here. Syndra hasn't received the buffs yet that she was promised, but is still benefiting from the cheaper and reduced cost of the mage items. So being able to hit her spikes a little bit faster after the Lost Chapter, this is the game where I'd assume she's going to probably want to go Ludens. That additional move speed is going to be really hard for Wei and friends to try to lock her down. And when you have a body as big as a Volibear in the form of Sinebu in front of you, it just buys that much time for you to be able to kind of get that stun, channel full unleashed power, and look to one-shot someone on the team for Wei friends.
Yeah, certainly is a possibility here. The you know, you often see the Syndra paired up with something like the Viego because it does let you just burst on out those individual targets, but on this game they are going to be on the opposite sides. There are whole heaps of damage on both teams this game around Ivy. Certainly probably even taking the lead in that sense. They can really, really just layer down a whole heaps of it if they are able to get in. It's just the getting in that's going to be the difficult part. Wei and friends can kite around, can fire from so far away here. Ivy's really going to have to find some nice flank angles or rely on mistakes from Wei and friends to really be able to get in here.
Yeah, it's again, it's going to come down to just straight execution. And in game one, we got to see Wei and friends execute their comp just a little bit better here, and they're playing a very similar-ish comp right now. It's not a Protect the Kog'Maw comp, but it's we're going to sit back and just poke your life bars out. So I really want to see them looking to be proactive and trying to secure a bunch of early objectives for themselves. Deny anything that Sinebu wants to try to get on the map right now.
Yeah, I'm going to have my eyes on Evan with an eye in particular for this game. Is traditionally a little bit more of a mage player, was busting out picks like the Ziggs, like the Syndra prior to this week. Played the Silas last game, was not really able to find his angles in. Now that he's on something he's a little bit more comfortable with, something he's already been drawing bans on, I want to see if he's going to be able to dominate the mid lane and lead his team to victory. Now we are going to send it to a quick break here while we get loaded on up into the game, but do not go anywhere. We are going to be right back here with the game between Wei and friends and Ivy Gaming Black. I don't know. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Aegis Defenders League Week 3 matchup between Ivy Gaming Black and Wei and friends. Wei and friends already up to a 1-0 lead, looking to close it out in 2 here. While Ivy is looking to clap back, and they are taking the Ignite teleport here in the top lane for the Gwen this time around, Trajan.
Yeah, really interested to see how this top lane matchup ends up going down here. The Ignite means that Eraser really wants to be aggressive on to Jimster here on this Jace, but we'll see if Jimster allows him to be able to do that. Definitely one of the champions that you don't see a ton of anymore. You see it in professional play a little bit, but we really haven't seen it a ton in the amateur scene down here with us, unfortunately. And I'm really excited to see what he's able to do on the champion, especially since we've seen such great performances on his Mundo and Orange. So being on a poke heavy champion with a lot of burst potential, curious to see how that alters any form of playstyle for him.
Yeah, we'll see. The NA Jace can make or break a top laner's perception here. We'll see what Jibster is able to accomplish here on this one in this game. Going to be his first game on the pick of this season thus far, and this is sixth game thus far in the Aegis Defenders League. So you can see the minions are going to crash here. No Blitzcrank shenanigans at level 1 going to come on across from the side of Turtle. You can see he's looking to maybe make a little bit of a play out of the opposing blue, but it is going to be a red start from the side of Kumazu. He's way ahead of him.
Yeah, Kumazu just accurately reading that Turtle wants to be looking to do any form of cheese that he can get away with, and he did successfully hook the blue buff. So by taking that, they know that Viego has started up onto the top side of the map, will be pathing into the same direction as Cinebu on the Volibear. So it looks like they will be looking to contest the same Scuttlecrab as we hit the level 2s here across the board. You can kind of see the poke composition from Wayne Friends really coming into effect here.
Definitely just going to be looking to keep their distance, farm on up, be pretty safe, and it's going to be really tough to find ganks here on this Volibear, as he's got no real other options other than just run up to somebody and try to stun them. Meanwhile, you can see, Kumazu getting pretty low in the jungle, but he should be just fine. Can keep using those Blade of the Rune King procs to heal himself up. He's going to have another access to fight in a little bit, but the mid lane, that's a lane that you could still gank on this Volibear. Flash stun comes on through to pick up first blood up against the Aegis in this mid lane.
Yeah, really great proactive play from Cinebu, just looking to be impactful early and often in this game. But bot lane, hello.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a return gank now coming on through from Kumazu, trying to get onto this Blitzcrank, going to force him to flash on away, but now he just gets locked down, looking to finish him on off. He's going to be able to do so, and now he has the hook to pick up onto the Aphelios, pulls him back on in. He tries to flash away, but the flashes are matched by Glaceon. He picks up the second kill there, and Way and Friends, they strike back twice as hard in the bottom lane, pick themselves up 2 kills with 1 going to that Viego.
And that is my absolute favorite thing ever to do as a Viego, especially into a hook champion in the bot lane. You just kill the support, take him, and then hook the enemy ADC. And really, really well executed there. And for the side of Ivy, a little surprising. They knew that Viego started up on the top side, but Karn and Turtle stepped forward and postured so aggressively that they were just screaming to get ganked, and they did, and ultimately paid with both of their lives.
Yeah, they both used Flash there too, but still both end up going on down. So now not going to have access to that resource for follow-up gank. So you can see Kumazu, he's taken that bottom Rift Scuttler, setting up some vision on that bottom side. You gotta believe that he's going to be making a return trip here sooner rather than later. Try to make sure that this Aphelios gets shut on out of the game early and hard.
Yeah, and it's even harder now for Karn to be looking for a license, because he did opt to go for a call start. Does have the dagger, so we'll be attacking a little bit faster, but that's not attack damage, friend. If you get hit by a binding, you're in a world of pain right here now.
Yeah, certainly is going to be here, so you can see some trading going on to the top lane. It is going to be Jimster just going even here with the Gwen early on. Hasn't quite been able to pressure her in the early levels the way one might hope, but Evan with an eye coming on up for a gank here, going to throw on down the Scatter of the Week. It does get dodged away from, so no CC going to be available here. The snip is short too, as the Jimster, he just stands his ground, dodges a couple of abilities, maybe takes 1 or 2, but is still plenty comfortable to stay up in this lane. Not going to have to expend the teleport, not going to have to go for a recall as of yet.
Yeah, it makes things really nice, and a lot of things wasted here. And look at Cinebu, going to be caught out in the jungle, potentially.
A little bit of a 2v2. That's a nice beat drop coming on through, going to snare up both targets. But do they have the damage to really turn this one around? Kumazu looks like he might be a little bit worried about it, but is going to have the mists coming up pretty soon. They are going to let Volibear and Syndra walk on away. Realize the risks that are associated there, and don't think that the Seraphine Viego duo in 5 minutes quite has the damage to be able to take that 2 versus 2. And that's some nice discipline coming out from the side of Way and Friends, as they don't take the fight that they know they should be unfavored in the 2v2 for the mid jungle.
Yeah, and it's just it comes down to just the communication between the two of them. They recognize that, hey, Volibear is going to be stronger early on because Viego hasn't been able to spend items. He has red buff. He has pressed the attack, so it's really likely that even if we kill one of us is going to die. So they just went for the safer option.
Oh, big hook onto Morgana, going to pull Glaceon into the bush. Did not have time to throw on down the Black Shield first, and so that is going to be a kill picked up in the bot lane. 2v2 for the side of Ivy Gaming Black. A good bit of relief for Karn and Turtle here, who were looking to come back from that play on the gank earlier on. They do pick themselves up a kill for their Aphelios, and it looks like they're going to convert it into a dragon as well.
Yeah, and with the wave pushing here right now, Dobbs is in a really dangerous position. You can't be standing there in the face of a Blitzcrank, but because his wave is pushing, he's forced to try to do what he can to get it to crash.
Yeah, he can try to immune the hook with the Arcane Shift, but it is going to be rough, and there is going to be follow-up as well from that Gravitum from Aphelios, and from this Volibear that's coming on up to stun him, going to be thrown in with a Thundering Blow, locking on down this Ezreal, looking for the solo kill here, going to get it. Frenzied Maul to finish off the kill. Cinny Boo picks himself up a kill on the opposing 80 carry, picks himself up a snack in the bottom lane, and is going to bring us to 3-2 with Dragon, also in favor of Ivy.
Yeah, and we can see here the early game proactiveness from Cinebu just being paid dividends. Getting the first dragon, and realistically in some matchups that you should be not as confident to be able to get them into. And because Kumazu was on a reset, it was just kind of free. That hook, oh my god.
Ooh, pulling Seraphine back on in, but does have the backup of the Morgana available. Dark Binding not quite going to land, though. It is going to be an escape coming on through from both sides. Nobody goes down in the mid lane play, but still Turtle making his presence known on this Blitzcrank is certainly a force to be reckoned with, and something that Wei and friends are going to have to be cognizant of. They're going to need to use these Black Shields wisely to prevent themselves from getting picked off by that pick later on.
Yeah, and just, again, you're seeing an entirely different side of this stuff. Turtle is on a comfort pick. It's on a champion that he loves to play, this Blitzcrank. And being able to make these roams happen, looking for these picks, yes, they're not converting into anything right now, but if he continues with this level of presence and this amount of proactiveness, eventually it's going to. Because it doesn't matter what happens as long as you just land that hook, right? The one hook is all you need to just change the entire course of the game.
Yeah, definitely is a champion that can have a lot of individual autonomy there to make plays happen, but is going to have to require a little bit of mistakes from the side of Wei and friends to let it happen. They have the tools to nullify the Blitzcrank. They just need to find the best situations to use them in and make sure to not expose themselves too much when they are on cooldown or not in the area. So now we can see Mazu finishes on off his own blue buff. He's coming into this bottom jungle yet again. Knows that there will be a scuttler spawning there fairly soon. Wants to make sure that his Ezreal and Morgana can continue to thrive in that bottom lane, given the unfortunate things that have occurred to them so far. But that Scatter of the Week landed on the Aegis, going to force him to flash away from the Rocket Crab. But here's the return damage coming on through from the Viego. Picks up an easy kill there, goes over to the Jimster, flashes forward, knocks the Blitzcrank back in, extends the Encore for the Charm to come through as well. Awesome play there by the side of Wei and Friends. Top laner picks up 2 kills in the mid lane off the teleport.
Jimster, holy hell, this man is firing on all cylinders tonight. And it's not even just tonight, it's been throughout the course of this entire series so far. What a performance. I was really curious to see how he performed on this Jace, and we are not being disappointed in the slightest, Gordo. That was absolutely beautiful what he was able to execute there.
He's won me over, Trajan. I'm a fan now, and that carries with it a whole bunch of expectations for casts coming through for the rest of the season. But still, an excellent play there in the middle lane here from the side of Wei and friends, and they get themselves a substantial gold lead now, about 1.2k, which pre-10 minutes is nothing to scoff at here.
Yeah, and the gold was pretty even, but it does look like we might see a dive coming in here. Going to get sniffed out by Dobbs, as there's going to be vision protecting his backside, so he's going to have to be forced to back off and concede at least another plate over to the Aphelios here. So Karn getting a lot of extra solo gold, which is going to be really great for him in the long run. That early death not really setting him back too far.
Yeah, absolutely here. Karn going to take a couple of plates, though. Going to get himself a little bit more gold into his pocket on this Aphelios. Is going to be a primary carry for this Ivy Gaming composition, as now we can see, got to be worried about this Scatter of the Week. Does the side of Avius here. He's just going to get hit by the Unleashed Power, not going to have any follow-up coming on through, and should be able to keep himself alive in that mid lane turret. Does have to be a little bit worried about potential Volibear ultimates turning that turret off, but as of now, it does not appear to be going down.
Yeah, and we can kind of see here, it does look like Foley Bear, and we see Blitzcrank making their way back down into the spot lane as Dragon is spawning soon.
Ooh, that's a
Oh,
two-man Moonlight Vigil. The snare does get immune by the Black Shield. Nicely played there, but Dobbs is outnumbered and outgunned as there's going to be 4 members collapsing from Ivy Gaming Black to pick up 2 kills in this bottom lane. They both go over to Turtle. This is the support carry game as Blitzcrank now going to go up to 2 kills in this game. Meanwhile, though, first turret looking to get picked up by the side of Way and Friends in the mid lane. It looks like they are going to be able to get it, Trajan.
Yeah, and it's going to be at a cost, right? Well, no, I guess not really. Like, you lost your entire bot lane, but you're pushing down another turret here, and this could be the tier 2 that we see go down. Yeah, it's going to be the tier 2. So 2 turrets for 2 deaths is a trade that Way and Friends is going to be more than happy to make. They're going to open up the map a insane amount for themselves here and be able to look to potentially contest this dragon here if they so choose, since it doesn't look like Karn has been able to reset yet.
Yeah, and they're mid lane turrets as well. That's a huge boon for the side of Way and Friends to get that map open and available here to be able to continue to make plays, especially with this poke composition. If they can push their vision line farther into the enemy jungle, it's really going to pay off dividends as they're able to just rain down damage with pretty much impunity here, as they have so much more map to play with than the side of Ivy does. As now it is going to be a hook over the wall coming through from Turtle, going to pick up another kill onto Aegis. Not going to be unmuting that one with a Black Shield on the side of Way and Friends. It's now going to be a numbers advantage for the side of Ivy. The Dragon does get picked up here by the side of Kumazu, but now he's getting chased on down on the other side. Ezreal just going to get a one-shot as well. Is Viego going to have to head for the hills? Kumazu getting chased on down by the remaining members of Ivy. Is he going to be able to find a way to escape? As it is going to be that Cloud Soul for the map, but Viego, actually, with the mid lane turrets down, does have a little bit of an angle to run on through here, gets himself a little bit of movement speed from the mist. He's getting chased on down by Sinebu, though. Gotta believe Sinebu's gonna pick up his kill eventually, almost finishes off the 1v1, but Sinebu is going to be able to take it at the end of the day, making it 8-4 in favor of Ivy.
Yeah, and Sinebu now on a killing spree, 3-0 on this Volibear, has a shutdown acquired for themselves, hasn't backed really yet, so needs to spend that extra gold that he's sitting on right now, but just a bit of an overstep from Way and Friends, not respecting the amount of presence that Turtle has on this Blitzcrank, and we're seeing this individual pick is kind of turning the game on its head for the side of Ivy Gaming. They're able to fight their way through, maintain an even game state now. They're completely even on gold while still being down 2 turrets and a decent amount of plates in both their solo lanes, 1 each it looks like, but they're up in kills. Dragons are even, and this is as good of a spot as they can sit at right now. Syndra is going to be able to reset, pick up her mythic. Aphelios has the Kraken Slayer done. Blitzcrank will probably be finishing up the Locket, I would assume, here soon as well. So they're really looking to kind of gear up for these mid to late game team fights and just kind of force the pick with this Blitzcrank.
Yeah, and so far Turtle's had a lot of success on that one. Has been able to net a couple of kills for his team off some clean hooks coming through in the bot lane and now in the bot river. And keep that up is going to be a nice key for Ivy to be able to continue to take these fights. That is the primary way they have of being able to close the distance here, as Way and Friends do really have a substantial range advantage from the picks they've gone for. Blitzcrank Rocket Grab really can nullify that as long as he's able to sneak it on through there and grab someone who isn't black shielded.
Yeah, and we can kind of see here that it's going to be just up to Way and Friends to make sure that they execute this comp properly. And so far in these mid-game skirmishes, they've just been letting themselves unfortunately get caught out.
Yeah, definitely. Going to go back to take themselves a little bit of mid-priority now, as we do see Diego
Karn.
coming in from the side, going on a Karn, flashes forward, goes in for the stun, goes in for the ultimate, doesn't land it though, and now gets snared on up by the Gravitum. Karn might actually escape here and is going to be able to do so. Nice use of the cleanse, nice use of the flash, nice use of the Gravitum active. Enables him to escape from what looked like a certain demise.
Yeah, that was a really fast reaction times coming out of Karn. They're very well played by him, keeping himself alive throughout that fight here. But now we do see as some action is rotating back into the bot lane. It does look like Turtle will be able to safely get a reset off. But meanwhile, in the top lane, not a lot has really happened since Jimster got those 2 kills in mid lane. Just kind of him and Eraser just CSing their hearts out up here, it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, both of these guys are just taking a little easy time against each other, making sure that they are able to farm on up. They are certainly going to be powerful coming into the later game. So you can see Jimster already has 2 kills to his name, does also have a little bit of a CS lead and the most CS in the game. Coming into these later fights should represent a substantial amount of burst damage if he is able to get some of those shock blasts off and find the right angles.
Yeah, we can see here now that we do have Baron spawning in 4.5 minutes. Second Herald is going to be spawning on the map very shortly here. Right now, Ivy is positioned to take this objective. They have the vision, they have the aggressiveness, and they have the lead right now, realistically. Even though the gold favor is slightly in the favor of Wei and friends, you can kind of see that. Top lane priority is going to be gone, and they're going to be fighting for mid here. So if you're on the side of Wayne friends right now, you just want to be looking to crack some of these outer turrets. Get that top turret down. It's almost dead. Bot turret, it's just a Cinder. You can look to probably just die first, since Cinder already on this Herald.
Yeah, going to be looking to take that one here. Should be a nice way to crack on open a few more turrets here for the side of Ivy. And instead, Wayne friends, they're just pushing up the mid lane, but there's no turrets left to get there unless you're going to try to push for inhibitor turrets at 16 minutes. Instead, they might look for a little dive here onto Evan with an eye. It is going to be the engage started off by Kumazu. It's going to force Evan back under the turret. Their wave is gone now, though. They shouldn't be able to do this. Kumazu going to take a few shots, going to take a little dark sphere, and is going to have to back on away. Wei and friends do not make this play work out in the bottom lane, and they're kind of just wasted their time now.
Yeah, you can kind of see, like I said, like looking to shove in and get one of these bot lane, they're one of these solo turrets, these outer lanes, get these turrets down for themselves. But the thought process was there. Unfortunately, the execution was just a little bit on the hesitation side there. They hesitated. They weren't super sure if they wanted to actually commit to it, and because of that, Evan's gonna be able to survive, and it's gonna be up to Wayne friends to see if they can try to hold on long enough to contest this third dragon that's about to spawn.
Mid laners TPing, and Aegis just went into the mid lane, and it does look like Evan with an eye is going to join them as well. That's going to be rocket grab thrown on out, not landing onto anybody. It's going to have a little while of a cooldown now as Dragon does get started over by the side of Wei and friends. They're going to look to pick this one up if they can. Remaining members of Ivy are approaching from the bottom. There's another rocket grab. This one lands onto the side of the Jimster, and they just shut him down immediately, but that's another big encore. Comes on across the meltdown. Evan with an eye, and they are going to finish off the Blitzcrank as well. Dragon ends up going over to the side of Ivy. It's a 2-for-1 fight in favor of Wei and friends, but Ivy gets the objective.
Yeah, we're starting to see the the mismatch of the composition here for Wei and friends. You have all of this poke, you have all of this long range, and then you have a Viego.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to be someone who's really fighting in these fights and getting his hands as dirty as he can, but you don't want him to be the frontliner. And because Wayne Friends doesn't have a frontliner, it makes it really difficult for them to actually get this Viego to kind of work. And we're seeing that it's getting punished by Ivy. They're doing a really good job of kind of just playing their fight slowly, looking for hooks with Blitzcrank. But if they need to force just a straight-on fight, they can, because they have the Blitzcrank and Volibear to soak up a lot of the poke damage out of WNF's composition.
Yeah, and they really need to try to layer down more damage before really starting up the objective like that, so that they can have a target for Viego to go in and start resetting onto. They take that fight with both teams pretty much at full HP, and there really isn't quite enough burst damage on the side of Wei and friends to really take out an entire team. You can see they can finish off one Evan with an eye, but they left over at the end of the day to take out the other carries, and they're forced to just back on away and seed the dragon.
Yep, Herald will be used up here in the mid lane. Hook is going to go just a little bit wide here, but it does look like on the flank, Kumazu's trying to make something happen here, but this Viego, again, just is going to have a hell of a time getting into these fights. And now Evan is on an item, full item here. Something that's interesting, too, that we didn't get to really discuss is that Ezreal went for the Manamune, or the Muramana first item, and transformed it into Muramana. Did not opt to go for the Divine Sunder, and that's a really interesting decision for me. Not necessarily one that I would agree with personally. I can understand the reasoning behind it, but I think it's still better to just build that Divine Sunder first item.
Yeah, going to be a little bit until he hits that 2-item spike now. And the 1-item spike with the Muramana going to represent a little bit of a different power spike than the Divine Sunder would. Is not really going to give him the sustain, is not going to give him that bonus damage that the Sheen procs would. So it is just going to be a little bit of a waiting game now for Dobbs. He wants to get onto that 2-item spike. The 2-item spike already hit here for the side of Karn. He's got that rapid fire cannon as well to start picking off people from a little bit far away and try to equalize a little bit of that range disadvantage.
Yeah, and Karn's been doing a really great job on this Aphelios. This champion has been on the back burner of every scene for the longest time, and with the recent buffs he's been getting and the love that he's been getting from Riot, he's finally being able to be brought back into the spotlight without risk of him just pressing R and deleting the entire team. So which is really nice. It's his champion kit itself is very, very unique, and being able to kind of see it at its peak is really gratifying, honestly. It's only 100 years instead of 200.
It's a win for everybody. You know, Aphelios players get to play Aphelios, and non-Aphelios players don't get one shot by Infernum Ultimate. It's we all get a little bit of something at the end of the day. Ooh, that's gonna be Black Shield nullifying the stun coming through from the Scatter of the Week from Evan with an eye. Nicely played there by the side of Glaceon. Might have saved quite a bit of damage going through out of the side of Dobbs. If not, a complete one-shot, as that's going to be Rocket Grab, not quite landing. Dark Binding onto the Blitzcrank, can't really be followed up on. Target's going to just end up backing away, but that's going to be another turret picked up in the bottom lane there by the side of the Gymster. Another inner turret bringing through all that extra gold. Or actually, that was an outer turret, actually.
Yeah, just an outer turret, but you can kind of see that Eraser's having a hell of a time in this lane against Gymster right now. It's down about 15 CS, which isn't really that much in the grand scheme of things, but 0-0-0 on this Gwen. Hasn't been able to do anything at all this game. Took Ignite, looking for something potentially, but just hasn't been able to punish this. And Gymster's going to be able to continue to lay siege, and at some point, the poke is going to be more than this Gwen is going to be able to handle.
That definitely is a risk here. Does have the plated steel caps, take a little bit less damage from the Jace, but that certainly won't work forever. Dobbs going to dodge away from the rocket grab there. Nicely played. Throws out the Rammus thumbs up. Going to be able to just withstand the siege from the side of Ivy, but they are looking to start up onto this Baron potentially. They know that there isn't really great vision from the side of Way and Friends. Pinkward over the wall, though, is going to see what they are up to. That's going to be aggro onto the Baron, getting a lot of shots down on the car, and he's chunked to about half HP.
Yeah, Evan accidentally auto-attacked the Baron instead of the ward while clicking away, and because of that, Karn is going to have to pay the price. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at it, Ivy has been able to kind of control the map in the way that they want to. They've been the ones in the driver's seat, even though that they're the ones in the gold deficit currently. Fourth dragon is about to spawn here in 10 seconds. Everyone has been able to reset and potentially look for it here, but we can kind of see that Way and Friends, they've just taken up residence in the red side jungle of Ivy Gaming here, and we're gonna have to see if they look for a potential face check. That's a really interesting bush for me to think about, but it does. Turtle knows something is up. He's trying to snuff it out. He's trying to sniff it out, but we'll see if he can.
Yeah, and it is just going to be Gymster starting up the dragon on his own. He should be able to do it. Turtle walking a little bit forward. He isn't the target they want, though. They're going to let him clear this one away. They're going to wait, see if there's a juicier target to be had. But they just claimed the dragon, and they're like, you know, we can just pretend we were all on dragon the whole time. They're going to go back over towards the mid lane, keep the push going, and claim victory on that objective.
Yeah, really good patience from them there. Gymster has the Muramana finally upgraded, does have the Eclipse as well, so this dragon is not going to do that much damage from the Omnivamp. Will keep the Jace really healthy throughout that entire exchange. And now with dragons even here, both teams are kind of just slowing the pace of the game down, looking to scale up, get a little bit further ahead. And you can see here now that even the junglers themselves, both looking to go Sterex Cage like them, identical builds on them almost essentially. But at the end of the day, one of them will scale better than the other, and that will be Kumazu.
Yeah, certainly will be, assuming that he is able to get the team fights that he wants here, because the Volibear is a frontliner, something that the side of Way and Friends do not have, and being able to just force these engages hard is a luxury that only Ivy Gaming Black are going to be afforded in this game. They can at least just throw their Volibear in with the Stormbringer, get the fight started that way, and if it is successful, if they don't get poked out too hard, if they don't take a big encore across their entire team, that might be enough.
Yeah, and you can see the Eraser taking a bit of damage just from a couple of attacks and abilities up in the bot lane there. So Gymster doing a lot of work on this chase. 2 items complete, has another Serrated Dirk in the pocket. Arcane Barrages, or True Shot Barrages, excuse me, gonna check the, the hook.
Another hook comes through from Glaceon. The reaction times just aren't quite there to throw out the Black Shield. That's not hate on Glaceon, that's incredibly hard. That's a super tight window when he might not even be looking at his champion, might just be glancing around the map to try to help out some allies or tell what's going on. But it is going to result in Morgana getting one shot, and it might result in the Baron and going over to the side of Ivy. I don't see any movement from Lane Friends to imply they're going to try to contest this. Mazu does see that it's going down, but there's just no real backup available. Seraphine coming on down from the top lane, maybe looking for a bit of an encore, but this steal just should not be in the cards. I do not expect Kumazu to even go for this, but he's looking like he might. Sinibu taking a lot of damage here. The flash over the wall comes on through. Kumazu does not get the Baron. It's just going to get turned around on and taken out. Huge amounts of damage come on across from the Seraphine, but it's not going to be enough to pick up any kills, and Kumazu just gives away his life. Is now, oh my goodness, the Blaze is getting started up on. That's going to be the hook over the wall on to the side of Aegis. He's going to get finished off onto, but they are losing some turrets. Karn going on a rampage, but at what cost? It does look like they did lose the mid inhibitor turret. They lost some health on the bottom inhibitor turret. They do have the Baron still.
Yeah, and the play was really, really well played out by Ivy there. They knew Jimster didn't have TP available, having just used it recently to come down for the Dragon fight. And because of that, they were able to leverage that effectively with a pick, because at best it would be a 3v5 or a 3v4 onto this Dragon. And they knew that they had the front line and the ability to kind of sustain through it there. And you could see the lack of vision for Wayne Friends in the pit just was a little too much there, not able to get a clean steal off that Kumazu was really hoping to go for. And at the end of the day, they're going to lose 2 of them. Their mid tier 1 is going to crack, but they were able to still trade it for something on the map, getting the inhibitor exposed in the mid lane for Ivy Gaming. So that is something to keep our eyes on.
Oh, and that's going to be a little bit of an engage coming on through from Kumazu. Just throws on out a little maw, but is not actually going to follow up with any extra damage or with any further engage from the team. So it's going to be top outer taken on out from the side of Karn. Going to look to maybe make that an inner as well. So it does look like the siege through the mid lane might be something that Wei and friends want to look for. They do have an exposed inhibitor there. It's potentially threatened, but instead they're going to all take these recalls. They're going to look to defend against this top lane siege.
Yeah, you see Jimster catching Way's bot lane. Now I'm just making sure that it's going to deny Ivy the opportunity to really go for too much more. It does look like this inner turret is probably going to fall, but no, Ivy will be backing off of it. They do have 2 empowered cannon minions. Is it going to be enough? No, the turret will live.
Ooh, and that's going to be the encore thrown on out, not going to land on anybody. By the way, it looks like Dobbs has picked on up the Frozen Heart here, going for some old school blue build Ezreal, as he's maximizing his mana, getting a little bit extra damage on the Maroon mana, and should have a lot of survivability up against this Volibear dive and this Aphelios as well. So now looks like Turtle's looking for an engage, is going to go in for the hook, but it gets nullified by the Arcane Shift. Nicely played there by Dobbs. That's why you take the Ezreal into the Blitzcrank. Now it is going to be Evan following up with another engage onto Kumazu here. Not going to be able to pick it up, though, as now maybe the side of Wei and friends want to go for a re-engage. They can at least chase them down and try to layer on down some poke damage.
Yeah, Gold Favor swung into the favor of Ivy here, but they are going to be relatively out of position. It is a 4v5 if Wayne Friends want to take this, and they're just trying to look to poke it out here, but you can see the Banshees fail coming out for Evan with an eye, doing a really great job of just nullifying any potential poke, keeping the Syndrome relatively healthy here. Even if it's just blocking 1 spell, that's so much damage from WNF's composition, and we see now that the 5th Dragon of the game is going to spawn, and what team is going to get onto Soul Point here? It does look like they're both positioned to try to fight for this.
Banshees Veil, such a great pickup up against these poke compositions. The Dragon does get started on by the side of Wayne Friends, but the hook over the wall comes through onto Kumazu. He's going to finish off the Dragon, but he's going to pay with his life. Meanwhile, though, Syndra's been finished on off by the side of Dobbs, looking to keep the fight going. Goes over the wall, is in a 1 versus 4, though, has nowhere left to go. It's going to get finished on off by Aphelios. It's going to be a 2-for-1 here in favor of Ivy. Wei and friends, though, they do put themselves up onto Soul Point. Let's see if the rest of them are able to escape and withstand the siege that's going to be coming through from Ivy now that they have a numbers advantage.
Yeah, Ivy's definitely in the driver's seat of this game, and you can tell that they feel confident in it. Gold has still remained very even throughout it, but the compositional difference in terms of execution from what we're seeing from both teams, Ivy's just playing their composition better. This Volibear has free reign to just kind of run at the entire team with Wayne Friends, and there's not a whole lot they can do with that. You know, I say that, and then Jimster chunks Volibear to almost half health with a single ability, so I guess I can't count them down and out for the running, because if this continues to scale up, this Jace is just going to absolutely obliterate anyone from the side of Ivy.
Yeah, absolutely. Here has finished on off that Serpent's Fang as well. I guess to reduce the shielding from Static Shield, that's an interesting pickup, I would say, but it is also a very cheap lethality item. Does give him another power spike here, and he also picks up the Edge of Night here for a little bit of a Banshee's Veil of his own. Should make it a lot more difficult to get hooked by that Blitzcrank or stunned by Scatter. Dobbs walking into the middle of everybody, finds himself in a 1 versus 3. He's got nowhere to go. He gets picked up again. Turtle takes the kill for himself. That robot's got 3 kills in this game.
Yeah, Turtle has just been the absolute decisive factor here. Decisive factor for the side of Ivy. This Blitzcrank has was respected in game 1 by Wei and friends, was not respected in game 2, and now they're getting punished very, very heavily for it.
They certainly are here.
And it does look like, unfortunately, Discord is having a fit with my friend Gordo today. Gordo, welcome back.
Yeah, I keep getting picked up by the AFK detector. That's a shame, but it's okay. We'll be all good. I'm back in. I am here, so it should be good for the rest of the game at least. now it is going to be the siege coming on through from the side of Ivy, but it is Wayne Friends getting some nice damage on a cross. That's a big shock blast
So
coming
much
through here from the
damage.
side of Jimster. It's a lot to say for sure, Trajan. Now they're not going to be able to keep the fight going. It's going to just be disengaged from the side of Ivy, but Wayne Friends, they do protect their bot lane inhibitor turret.
Yeah, that is one. It is absolutely crucial that the base has not been cracked by Ivy Gaming. But two, holy hell, Jimster, these people have families. Single combo is just going to do so much damage here, and we see the Baron's going to be spawning on the map, and it does look like in the fact that Wayne Friends are going to be the first ones to get a shot at this objective if they want to set up for it.
Yeah, they should have a little bit of positional advantage over the river, and that means everything for these poke compositions. If they're able to layer down their vision first, if they're able to poke somebody out as they come on in to look for vision, like Evan with an eye, who's walking up there a little bit, does not go up the rest of the way. Cinny Boo, though, could also be under vision, does not get hit by the Dark Binding. The beat drop comes on across, is going to CC him up for just a second. It's not going to be enough, and now it's going to be Wayne Friends starting on up this Baron. They do know there's no vision from the side of Ivy, but Ivy are in the area. They might come on up and spot this out, but it's melting down so incredibly quickly. Wayne Friends going to look to pick this one up for themselves. They are going to be able to do so. Now, what about the fight? Here it comes. That's going to be the Gravitum coming on across. 4 members, a huge CC layering down from the other side, but it is going to be a nice encore coming on across to return. It's 2 kills to 1 so far as the rest of Wayne Friends are just trying to head for the hills and keep as many Barons alive as possible. Aegis is getting chased as well, but has so much movement speed in the tank, is heading for the hills, is going to be able to escape for the time being. They've lost both carries for the side of Wayne Friends. Their Jace and their Ezreal are both down, but the rest stay alive, and the rest have the Baron buff.
Yeah, being able to seek that Baron away is absolutely massive for Wayne Friends. It's more or less about it's less about them having the Baron, but more them to deny Ivy the Baron, making it harder for them to be able to push. Their composition is still going to be poke dependent. They've got 20 seconds. Their base might get cracked here, but it's going to be up to seeing how aggressive Ivy wants to really kind of play this. They don't have the Stormbringer available quite yet, though.
Yeah, not quite going to be able to take the deepest of dives as of yet, and that is actually going to be Dobbs respawning here. So Ivy going to back on away. Know that there is a big damage threat from the other side. There's a dragon spawning in about 20 seconds. With no inhibitors down, Wayne Friends might even be able to contest this. The teleport is available for the Jace if he does want to go for it. He is going to teleport to that middle lane, try to set up for this dragon fight.
Yeah, Turtle is incredibly low here. Just a single accelerated shock blast might kill him.
Yeah, Kamazu is invisible, is hanging out in his mist. Gonna come on out, and just like that, Wayne Friends do have a little bit of a position over this dragon. They can start throwing over some of those poke abilities. They can start trying to deal some damage back to Ivy, who haven't gotten to reset from the siege earlier on. They do still have a Baron in their pocket as well. Have not really been able to use it to get priority, though. Recall starting to be channeled from the side of Ivy. Wayne Friends moving into the pit, looking to pick themselves up. Bit of a soul here. It would be a big deal to be able to claim that one for themselves. Shock Blast not going to land onto anybody. Continuously just pushing up slowly. Evan with an eye is taking a recall, has gone back. That's a big Ezreal ultimate coming on across multiple members. Not going to finish anybody off quite yet, though. So they're forced to back away from the dragon. That's the hook coming on through. Not going to land. Jimster going to pick up that kill, but the dragon going to go over to the side of Ivy. Meanwhile, though, the engage is all Wayne Friends. They pick up 2 kills immediately, and now they're going to move forward onto Aphelios car. Not going to be long for this world, but 1 versus 5. Tries to flash away, just gets shut down by the Jimster, and that's going to be a 3-for-0 in favor of Wayne Friends. They give up the dragon, but how much of the base can they claim here, Trajan?
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like this game is almost cut and dry done. The Blitzcrank is down for 20 more seconds. You don't have the front line in the form of the Bully Bear. Needlework is going to be available for your Racer, so it's all going to come down to him and Syndra. Evan with an eye. How much can they do with the Needlework and the Unstoppable Power before they get dove?
Yeah, the Baron buff keeping these minions so healthy as well. It's going to be Eraser needing to pull off some kind of miracle. He got a 1v5 pentakill last week. Can he do it again here? As there's going to be the re-engage coming through from Turtle. Pokes off a nice hook, gets some members onto him. The Nexus is so incredibly low. It is going to be finished on off by the side of Wayne Friends, and they're going to win the series 2-0 from a gold deficit. They just come back in a second, and they take the series.
What an incredible display of control from both teams this series. Honestly, Ivy did a really, really great job of kind of taking their lead and understanding what they need to do with it. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get as much as they'd like to when they first got that first Baron. Not being able to crack them base of WNH just means that it's really hard for them to do anything in there. They don't have the ability to create pressure on the map. Meanwhile, they have an exposed inhibitor in the mid lane, so at any time, anyone from the side of Wei and friends can just kind of walk down and take that. But they were able to execute a lot of these fights just very cleanly. And at the end there, you kind of see it all came down to, well, one, Turtle stayed with almost no health and got picked off by a J Shock Blast, but two, Viego got his reset. They picked off Sinibu on the Volibear. He was able to get the stun onto Aphelios on Karn, and from there the game just kind of it collapsed. It was over. That was the game winning fight.
Yeah, no, they just lost the fight too hard, and they still had the Baron from that earlier Baron play. That let them get the minions in there faster, and it let the minions be pretty much invulnerable. If that's not a Baron buffed wave, then Syndra can just one-shot it there with the Scatter the Weak there. So a huge play coming through for the side of Wei and Friends to be able to close that one on out in two. Now, I believe we are going to be pulling in a member of Wei and Friends for an interview here in just a few short seconds. Yeah, we're going to send it to a quick break first as we determine who we're going to grab.
I've been dreaming. 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 We're dreaming. We're dreaming. We're dreaming.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Aegis Defenders League Week 3, and we have got the man, the myth, the Jimster here to join us for the night. Congratulations on your win, Jimster. How are you feeling?
It feels pretty good. Yeah, the second game definitely did not feel great to win. I mean, it feels great to win, but it did not feel winnable until we won.
Yeah, you guys were that game too. It looked like we really, I wouldn't say disjointed, but it felt like we were just kind of struggling to figure out what to do. What was the thought process behind your mid to late game macro as a team? Like what were, because you were just in a side lane kind of matching the Gwen for 3/4 of that game.
Yeah, yeah. At some point in the game, I think so it was hard for us to set up vision around the play because I was never grouped, and it's hard for us to face check Blitz and Syndra. So it's kind of scary for us to walk as a poke comp into fog like that. I
Hmm.
think I made the mistake personally of just spending too much time in the side lane. I felt like I wasn't. Yeah, there was one point in the side lane where I just like jumped on Gwen. I was like, oh shit, like I actually have kill pressure, and that kind of like baited me to stay even more. But I really should have grouped earlier. I think that game turns out different if we just actually executed our poke before objectives and whatnot.
Very good, very good. I'm curious a little bit about how your team came together here. As far as I know, this is your first split in a lot of these leagues around here as a team. So can you give us a little bit of insight about how you guys came together and started playing together?
Oh yeah, so our ringleader, Weh, is our support. He goes by Glaceon, and yeah, we just kind of. Well, me, the jungler, and the AD carry all knew each other beforehand. Wei was my roommate in college, and then we tried our mid laner out from a random, Discord, and kind of all came together as Wei plus friends. What the
Good to
fuck
hear.
for short.
Really, really, really nice to be able to see a lot of groups be able to come together for that, and it's interesting being just a new roster that's coming out. Have any of you competed competitively before, or is this your first split?
This is our first split together as a team, but we've all done amateur leagues in the past,
Okay.
on separate teams.
Very cool, very cool. You coming in to the match this week. You were 8th in the community poll up against Ivy, who were community ranked 4th. With this, we'll call it an upset now in your pocket. Where do you guys see yourself going for the rest of the Aegis Defenders League?
We have no fucking clue. Some days we feel really good based on scrims, and some days we just feel awful and feel like, honestly, like bronze players. So it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. We're a team of 5 coin flippers, so you'll see, I guess.
Well, being able to see you guys take a composition as difficult to play as something like a poke comp and execute to a level of success that you did is really really impressive. Do you guys talk about this stuff beforehand, or is it just kind of like these are the compositions that we feel comfortable playing with, but we want to uh try something out, just like say to hell with it, we're gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, so that comp, we've actually, I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever scrimmed with a poke comp before, but we've all played, like, we're all pretty proficient with these champions, and it kind of just came together
Mhm.
at the end. The Blitzcrank pick kind of threw us off. We didn't want to R5 the Morgana, so we were thinking of playing Seraphine support and something more aggressive mid. It just turned into a poke comp after seeing everything. But as far as like comps that we're practicing on, we're just finding champs that we're good at and seeing how they fit into a draft. Sometimes that's protect the cog like game one. Sometimes it's split push, uh, stuff like that.
All right, well, very good. We're probably gonna call it a night there, Jimster. But before we do you have anybody you want to shout out before we cut off the stream?
Yeah, shout out to the team. Thanks for good job flipping heads today and dealing with me all the times I flip tails.
All right, good stuff. Well, congratulations, Jimster, and to the rest of your squad. You're now up 2-1 here in the Aegis Defenders League group stage. It's Ivy Gaming going to fall down to 1-2. That is going to do it for this evening's stream. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have yourselves an excellent night.